Hello, folks. Welcome back to Sound Design for Relaxation, Meditation, and Sleep. I'm your host, Dr. Lawrence W. Moore of the Wayfarer Project. In this episode, we are going to be making a campfire sound and integrating the cricket sound with that I've made in episode 10 of this series to make a nice, peaceful nighttime scene. So this is definitely one where you'd want to use headphones or be listening on good speakers in a quiet room because this is very ambient stuff here. It is, after all, for relaxation, meditation, and sleep. I also, before showing you the sound, do want to point out that I am putting a tag in the description for Mike Gorley's channel on YouTube. I've mentioned him in the past. I think he's an underappreciated artist on YouTube and does some great stuff. Really peaceful and beautiful stuff, as well as some adventurous things too. Plays a lot of different string instruments and Native American flute. He also is now playing cigar box guitar, manufactured for him by my wife, Liza Sahito, at Psyche Opera. So at Mike Gorley and at Psyche Opera will be in the description. So anyway, without any further ado, I'm going to put my headphones on. And we are going to take a look at this sound, or take a listen, more appropriately. Anyone new to this series, these sounds are being designed by me for my sound experiments in relaxation, meditation, and sleep. But I put up the constructions in this series so people can see how to do it themselves if they want to use it for, well, any purpose, really. And here we go. Slow fade in. Nice little crackling campfire and some crickets in the background. We might remix this a little bit as we build this together. Anybody new to the series? I am working in VCV Rack. It is free software. There is a premium version of it, but you can do so much with the free software. You really, the developer really made sure that people wouldn't be limited by, financial ability, and being able to do some great Eurorack-like synthesis in a virtual environment. And it's available for Windows, Mac, and Linux. And I'm using it on Linux Mint right now. So anyway, you want to see how to make this sound? We're going to do so right after I roll that theme that I worked so hard to make. So I got to use it. Okay, so here is the mixer setup I use for designing sounds. When the final patch is made, you don't always need to keep all these modules in, or you can mix them in a different way or set them up as a VST instrument for your DAW, or use it in any number of ways. But when I'm designing, I just like to have some things at my fingertips, and especially in this series, I like to be able to use a parametric EQ to view the frequency spectrum. And but if you want to know more about this setup, I do have it in episode 1 of the series, as well as episode 1 of my Wayfarer VCV Rack Patches series, you may want to check out. And if you're new to this In general, I do have tutorials on learning VCV Rack as well as synthesis on this channel. So without further ado, let's make that campfire sound. I'm going to zoom in here and I'll explain some things along the way so both new and returning viewers can more easily benefit from this episode. So what I'm going to use first, I don't even need to search for it. It's number 2 on my list here. Audible Instruments Macro Oscillator 2. And this oscillator has a number of different modes, and the interface for it will do different things based on whatever mode you are in. We are going to go into the particle noise mode right here. Now, I'm going to turn down the fader here and turn it up as appropriately. Once this module's hooked up, if I turn it up now, we'll just hear a tone. Well, actually, no, I set it into particle noise. We're going to hear something that sounds more like that. So I'm going to use frequency here to make this more of a high pitch for our crackling campfire. And it looks like this area is what I want. Maybe down to there. So I'm going to go in between, which is right about here. And then what I'm going to use is the harmonics knob. Now in this mode, it's not really doing harmonics. It's actually giving us a spread on the frequency of the noise particles that are being generated. You can hear they're not all the same filtered noise region. There's some variation, internally randomized by the module. And with this harmonics knob, I'm going to turn it up. Not too much, because the more I turn it up, the wider the spread goes below and above. And I don't want it going too far below. These are the crackles, the snaps and crackles of the campfire. Yeah, there's enough mid-rangey ones there that sound like in that region that they would sound with a regular campfire. And then here I'm going to see, all right, yeah, that's the thickness of like the cloud of particles that are generated. This looks like it could be used in variation as well. So I'm going to leave it right there for now. And this is something I didn't do in the prototype that I made before recording the episode. But I'm going to try it out. I'm going to use the random module from VCV. What does this do for us? Well, it gives us random values that we can send to things. And you can set the rate at which they're sent, the width or the range of randomness that is being sent. Although I'll leave this all the way up, because here's where I'm going to limit it. You see this thickness area is the timbre knob. And that comes in here, and it has a regulator that you can set. So I'm going to do this on like a smooth transition. You're not going to visually see knobs move. We might be able to see a little bit here. As you see, there is randomization throughout this region here going on. And so let me adjust this so that I'm going to set a minimum right about there is about as low as I want the thickness to go. Otherwise, you just don't hear enough of the crackles for it to sound right. I'm going to slightly turn this up. So you don't see the knobs move, but internally it would be like they were. This would be kind of like rotating like this each time a new random value is selected. And you can see this light up, the rate here, how frequently it's randomly selecting a value. So I'll turn it up a little bit. So the cloud of particles is being varied at that rate. Let me turn up how far it can go up because I don't hear enough changes to a thicker cloud. Depends on how intense you want your fire to be. We don't really want it to be that intense. So this is what we're getting here. Now, one thing I do want to do, we are going to do some filtering here. I like to use the VCF from Surge XT, another free module. All these modules are free with VCV Rack. And so we need to take the audio cable from the macro oscillator 2, go in there, and then take the left output here from the filter. Now I'm going to use a different shape. I want to use a band pass. Like that. Down there. One thing, this is sounding a little too precise in frequency, so I'm going to widen out that resonance all the way I can. And then I'm going to have it oscillate in this area. So what I do to do that is set this to maybe the lowest. Right about there. That's the lowest I want this frequency knob to really go to. I'm going to turn on the modulation 1 input here. And then hook this up to random over here. Use the same random. And put it on exponential. And then what we do is now that it's on exponential and I have mod selected, this is where I can left click here and set the modulation range. I'm going to drag up. That looks to be about right. I'd like everything to happen a little bit faster, I think. That's pretty fast, but the crackles now sound a little bit more natural. The different frequencies they're at are being varied enough that it sounds like a natural variation. I think I'm going to take the bottom end of this. It says timbre, but really it's the thickness of our cloud of particles. Turn it up a little bit. Maybe turn up the upper range a little bit. I want this to sound like a small, peaceful campfire, not a bonfire. But yeah, the thickness is getting a little too much there. I hear too many overlapping particles. There we go. That sounds pretty good. Now, we could probably turn up the level on this a bit. One thing I want to do here, this I like to do for any kind of like equalization settings that I'm just going to leave. I'm going to take out some of the lower mid-range a bit. I want to hear a little more snap. Put a little air on it here. Like sound a little snappy. Maybe a little drive here on the VCF. Yeah, that sounds a little more crackly. Now we could use a little ambience to this. Now, one of my favorites is Now That's Echo, but this I don't believe is going to work out for us. I'm going to give like a subgroup to the Campfire. We have a second aspect of that sound coming, so that that group can all together be sent to the same effect. But yeah, now it sounds too much like water dropping in a cave. So I have something that I do like here called Gated Room. And then I make some little changes to it. Gated Room. The size is already down. The K is already down. And then I'm going to increase the dampening on the low and high there. We don't need pre-delay. Just gives us a little bit of reflection. I can turn the mix up here because we are controlling the level partially with the send. Right about there on the width. There we go. Now there's more aspects to this fire. I'm going to use a blank panel here just to separate the two aspects of the fire because they're on two different channels. We're going to need another instance of the random module. We're going to need a noise generator. We're going to use the VCV noise generator for that. All sorts of flavors of noise, indeed. And then we're going to filter this as well with the Surge XT VCF. Now, the noise that I'm going to work with here, this is the aspect of the fire that is like the coals releasing a steady stream of flame. Kind of sounds like a type of sound, and I'm basically going to put blue noise into the filter here. Turn this down here, and I'll take the left mono output, put it in the mixer right there. Now we can turn it up a little bit. Okay. We're once again going to go with a band pass, a little more narrow this time like this, but take this resonance once again. I don't want it to sound as focused as that. There. That's better. Now, one thing is this, I am eventually going to shape a little bit more with that EQ. Okay, so let us do this. Let's find our range here. The type of noise I'm talking about here is a little bit lower. Excuse me, I needed a drink of water. A little lower in frequency. Somewhere around there. In here. And I do want to oscillate that lightly. So I'm going to put it right about here. Put this up to smooth here. And now that this mod 1 input is turned on, I can left click, set a range. Nope, don't want it to go too high. Not making wind. And I'm going to jack this rate up. That sound of flames coming out does oscillate. Now overall in the mix, later when the crickets come in, okay, and then I think I'm going to take out, once again, this little notching I'm going to do. And this can flutter a little bit faster. Let me see, do I want to accentuate this? I don't know. Maybe around there. Now you are also on group 1. I am sending group 1 over here. Now it's not as percussive, so we're not going to hear as much of it in the reverb. I turn up the individual channel send. No, it's not really adding anything to the sound. Okay, so it's sounding pretty good to me like that. Now, I am going to try a little something here. I'm going to look at these. Do I want to even out these spikes a little bit with compression? I could set this to channel 2. Now, this is real low, so the threshold would really have to come down. There, I'm just barely seeing it now. Turn up the makeup gain. It's not doing a lot, but maybe it is helping a bit. In general, I could turn that down a little bit. And the crackling. And there is a second effect that I'm going to add. I'm going to see how these work in the cathedral setting. The crickets that I'm going to add in a moment are going to use that. So, cathedral. Or actually, no, it was concert hall. I'm sorry. Let's hook this one up. If this doesn't work for these guys, see, the problem is with such sounds, because of like the crackling, I like it to resonate in a bit of a space a bit more. Sometimes it comes together like a glue, and it just doesn't sound right. So the crickets, the concert hall worked well. I'm thinking they might work with the crackles as well. In this case, we're sending both. Now, yeah, that's not working. Maybe lightly. Like that. So they do sound a little bit bigger without sounding like crackling in a cave. Okay. Oh, not like that. I did save out my crickets as a selection. Once again, if you want to see step-by-step building it, that is in episode 10 of this same series, Sound Design for Relaxation, Meditation, and Sleep. Sometimes I need to abbreviate it to Sound Design for RMS. Otherwise, can't get enough of a good search title in the title on YouTube. Okay, import selection. Crickets. And that would be them right there. Let me zoom out and organize this a little better. I'll put the shorter set of modules up here. And then this longer bit down here. And then we're going to zoom back in. Did I get them right? Oh, they're one notch over. That's easy enough to fix. Just do this. There. Okay, so, all right. Now, just, if you don't want to go look at episode 10, Quick overview, basically a VCO here, outputting a sine wave going into a VCA. In order to get that kind of ridged cricket wing sound, let me turn this down so I hook it up, it's not too loud. I'm oscillating that with an LFO, and the rate of the LFO is 5.1. Really? 5.1? Or is it 15? 15.1. And over here, the frequency is 3,400 hertz. And so this is just going to sound like a ridgy sound here, and then I'll hook up the envelope to fluctuate it in and out like a cricket sounds. This is what you get with those two as is, right there. With these two modules, I'm going to envelope this sound. Basically, this one is at a rate of 0.07 hertz, and that would be an LFO envelope that brings the volume in and out right here. But in order to make sure that it's not always completely regular, and it does sound better when you have multiple crickets, this is set at a rate of 0.043 hertz, I believe. I basically set some to 0.043 and then some to 0.034 for each instance of a cricket, so that they're not exactly on time. They kind of go in and out of time gradually. Also creates a great relaxing effect. Hold on. Let's set these levels first. There's 4 of them. So I'm going to set them like that. And pan them all the way left, halfway to the left, halfway to the right, and all the way to the right. Now let us hook up the audio for the second cricket. Yep, it is this one right here. And then we're going to envelope it. Now, since these are panned more towards the center, that's why I have them a little lower in level. Once this one's hooked up and enveloped, it'll make more sense because you can hear how these two do combine a bit more. And therefore should be turned down a little bit each. And we'll hook up the last envelope and then the audio for it. Cricket number 4. Check the levels here a little bit. The right one seems to be coming through a little bit. Now let's turn it up. And the all the way left one. Okay, now these I'm going to group to 2. I'm going to put an effect on them. In case it will be that concert hall. Some reverbs make the ridginess of the cricket sound too smooth and doesn't sound as good. But this concert hall setting on Reverb 2 from Surge XT At least allows me to get up this high. Maybe there. And then let's try that gated room on the crickets as well. That sounds pretty good. Now, is it entirely, completely realistic? Well, it may be lacking a little bit, but it is peaceful, relaxing, and with time, when you hear the fluctuating rates of the crickets, just kind of hypnotically go through your head, it does work. And the fire, that noise that I'm using for the flames, provides a smoothness there that kind of carries you through and centers you. And the crackles have a bit of an ASMR effect. I'm going to adjust the crickets reverb a little bit. It's constant call. Damping. Turn it up for the high. It's not sustaining as much now, and that's good. Maybe I can turn this up there. And the width here. Right about there. And down the size a little. Yeah, and the beating effect from those ridgy wings, so to speak, I guess it's the legs, actually, of the crickets that are being rubbed together to get that sound. I'm not quite sure. I need to turn the reverb down a bit. Too much of a sustain. There we go. So, I thank you for joining me on this. If you found some inspiration from this or any benefit at all, please hit that like button and leave a comment letting me know what you think. Yeah, any interaction does help this series and my channel grow. I appreciate your help and your taking your time to be with me here. So, well, until next time, take care and keep camping.